How's it going, everyone? I just got done competing in the Pocket Match tournament the first day. I am going on to day 2. I'll get more into my deck list as we go on, but I just want to sit down and talk about the meta, what changes are happening to the most popular decks, and how should you be building your decks going forward. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, trying to hit 20k subs, almost there. I really appreciate the continued support. Also, we got Glitch X City, because I can't get enough of it right now. And this track right here, this might be her best remix out of everything she's ever done. It is amazing track. Okay, so here, what I want to talk about first is just like the meta breakdown, because it is a big switch up from last week. Last week we saw, you know, Blaziken Entei be a very widely played deck, and it did horrible, abysmal. I was saying that obviously, like, Blaziken Entei was not the way to do it. I still believed in Blaziken. I just thought that we hadn't found the correct way to play it into the meta, and we found out Blaziken Heatmore is actually pretty busted. It's a very scary deck, very aggressive, and it ended up being the most played deck of this week, which has punished a lot of other decks. And this is also very interesting. If you look at the top 6 decks here, even the top 7, top 8, top 9, top 10, there are only 2 decks above a 50% win percentage, and that's Mega Altaria Indeedee and Mega Blaziken Heatmore. Everything else is falling below the 50% win percentage, and there are some reasons for that again we will go into, but I just want to talk about overall, like, what is happening. So Mega Blaziken was the most played, then Suicune and Greninja still getting a ton of rep, but it's honestly falling off a little bit. Hydreigon Mega Absol, I think that was another very popular choice. I've been seeing it a lot more than I ever have. Altaria is still holding strong, and Mega Absol Darkrai actually falling off a little bit. And then Magnezone, Oricorio, and Decidueye. Magnezone maybe being more popular than last week, but Decidueye definitely being less popular. This is just the brief overall of, like, what to expect. And honestly, it looks like a lot of people are on the same page as me, where it seems like Mega Blaziken was the strongest deck going into this week. Just across the board, its matchups are fantastic. There's not really a hard counter to it, and a lot of people respected the deck and ended up playing it, and some people ended up doing very well because they respected Blaziken enough to build their deck in ways that would help them deal with Blaziken. So now let's talk about the deck list. Let's go over first what I played to the tournament. So this is what I decided to run, and to be honest, I don't have like much to give you on my choices, because I honestly really took my existing Mega Blaziken deck, looked it over, and went, you know, I think I want a second Cyrus in here. What can I get rid of? I guess I'll get rid of the May. It might not matter too much. I was also, like, totally going into the tournament planning to just scrub out, because I was doing chores while competing. So I'm like, it doesn't, like, I'll let the deck play itself. If I lose early, whatever, because I'm kind of busy today. If not, then cool. So the biggest difference between mine and other lists is I am playing the double Cyrus, and I am still playing the double helmet, and some lists don't even play one Lily. I've seen some other very aggressive decks that take out, like, the Lily for a red card, keep all the other cards the same. I gotta say, after playing day 1, I feel like you really want a copycat or a May in here. I don't know what I could possibly get rid of for it, though. Double Rocky Helmet feels very necessary. Double Cyrus is like maybe that's the greed card, the double Cyrus, but I love it. I can't imagine giving it up for anything. Like, it just allows me to place damage with Heatmore so effectively, and then just use multiple Cyrus throughout the game. I won a lot of games because, you know, these are open decklist tournaments. I look at what my opponent has, and I see them use their one Cyrus maybe a little bit too early, and then I know, okay, I'm in no danger of losing this game to a Cyrus, so I can you know, recalculate how I'm gonna play this, make some changes, and end up coming out ahead. But the way that I lost, all of the games that I lost, every single game I lost was because, and this probably was just user error, right? I would start a Torchic or start a Heatmore or something, and I'd be going first, and I'd say, and I have no Pokeballs, no other basics in my hand. And I have like a research in my hand and a rare candy Blaziken. Like things look okay, but I really want to be a little greedy and try to find like a basic or a Rocky Helmet, just stuff to play out of my deck. And I would use the research. I would get nothing off of it I could play, and then I'd get hit with a turn 1 red card, and then I would just never draw out of it. So that's how I would lose the majority of my games, was just due to bricking. And a big part of that was me being a little bit too greedy with my research early. So maybe those losses weren't even bad enough that this list can just run fine. I did have some games where I didn't get red carded and I just wasn't able to find Blaziken ever. I had one game where the bottom 5 cards of my deck were double Blaziken, Combuskin, and a Copycat, and then the 5th card was my last Rocky Helmet. So like sometimes that can just happen if you're not playing a Copycat or a May, or a second Copycat or one copy of May, and it kind of is what it is. I don't know, like this list feels amazing as long as it sets up, but the problem is that a lot of decks are playing ways to make it so you don't set up, and honestly, I took the May out because I was looking over the meta thinking, you know, there's not too much Chingling going around at the moment. There's really not. There's Altaria that's got it. The Magnezone deck plays like 1 copy, and then some Hydreigons play either 1 copy or 2. But I feel like I can get through the Hydreigon deck fine, even if they are using the Chinglings. So it was just a judgment call. Hey, I'm going to get rid of the May because I don't think I'm going to have to evolve from Combuskin too often. And for day 1, it worked out. For day 2, I'm not all that hopeful. Again, like the deck's consistency has been feeling kind of meh to me. I would really like the May back in the list, I think. If I had to choose one card to throw back in here, it would be the May. What I would cut, again, I don't know. Everything feels so valuable. Maybe you can get away with the Lily, but I don't think you can win the Magnezone or Oricorio matchup without the Lily. It also helps against Absol quite a lot. The double Cyrus, again, it's just nice to have the double Cyrus. Like maybe the double Cyrus is the green card. I'm not sure. But anyways, those are my thoughts going into Blaziken. That's how I'm feeling about it after playing 8 rounds with the deck. Like what? How many games? Like 20, I don't know, somewhere between 18 and 24 games. However many it took me to you know, sometimes you only play 2 games in a set instead of 3. But after playing like, let's say 20 games with the deck against in an actual tournament setting, that's how I'm feeling about it. I want to find room for a May. And I don't know what card to cut. I have no idea, but I feel like it really should be in there. Now, because Blaziken seems like the strongest deck for this weekend, and obviously then heading into the next weekend, probably going to be one of the stronger decks as well. Everything is sort of going to be in the context of Blaziken. Blaziken takes a really good matchup to the Mega Absol Oricorio deck. They throw a Mega Absol on the bench. You kind of just go heat more on it, just keep heat mooring on it until you are able to pull off the Cyrus, attack with Blaziken on the Mega Absol, win the game that way. You usually just sort of ignore everything else. You don't care about the Oricorio. You don't care about much besides that Mega Absol on the bench. So, the best performing Mega Absol variants that we saw for this week were the ones that are playing the Chingling Tyrogue build. The Tyrogue is nice. It is your way of getting through an Oricorio. A Tyrogue plus a Darkrai ping plus a Giovanni will knock out an Oricorio without a cape, obviously. But you still have an answer to it, right? And that's usually just what you need, is one answer to an Oricorio. Like this list is playing a Sabrina and a Cyrus split, so you're then able to get around the second Oricorio with that Sabrina. This is just the most popular version, and I think it is due to the fact that Blaziken was the most played deck. Blaziken still doesn't really love doesn't really love Chingling, and that's going to give you a much better edge against them than the Oricorio does. The Oricorio is going to do nothing. The Chingling is going to prevent them from going Rare Candy Blaziken. You're also playing red card in the deck, so you can wait. You can hold that red card for the best time for you. Maybe if you start going in with like Darkrai or Absol or something and you hit them with a red card as well and just say, you had to have drawn Rare Candy Blaziken off of that red card, or you lose the game right here. And then Chingling just good into like all the other evolving decks as well, right? This is just a super consistent deck when you look at it. There's no evolution pieces you need to find. It is just your basics. Also, I like the 1x speed It is going to stink if you start the Darkrai, but that's not going to happen too often. You play 6 basics, so you just kind of hope that it doesn't. And especially in a best of 3. In a best of 3, like, you feel confident. If you start Darkrai and that makes you lose the game, well, you have 2 more games to go. So you can kind of leave stuff up to chance like that when you're playing a best of 3. But I'm fully on board with this being the new preferred way to play Mega Absol, because finally Blaziken has a place and is doing so good into the meta, kind of almost unchecked at the moment. Like, this is a very good counter to the Blaziken. And yeah, just a fantastic list. So props to anyone who played the Chingling version of Absol. They are the best performing ones of the tournament, and they have been having a great time feasting on these Blazikens. Now let's talk about Altaria, and this is what I think is the preferred way to play Altaria. It is consistently the better performing version. There are some other versions I will throw up on the screen as well, but this one is definitely like the way to go for Altaria, and that's with Chingling, Jirachi, and then one of the Indeedees. I like the baby Altaria over the Sableye. I never loved it. And I almost played this deck to the tournament, but I have one problem with Altaria, and that's if you go first and you don't start Chingling, you are then perpetually behind on energy, right? If say you're playing against a Mega Absol or something, and they go second, they get that first turn attachment on either an Oricorio or an Absol, and you started, like, I don't know, Swablu. And now you need to spend your turn either attaching to retreat the Swablu out of something else, or attaching to a bench Swablu so you can attack with Mega Altaria the next turn. Like, you are just not going to be able to attack with anything else because there's going to be something to respond to it the next turn. If you use your energy attachment on the Jirachi is going to be able to poke for 30, and that's it. He's going to get knocked out the very next turn. So I have like an energy problem with the Altaria. It is still very strong. Like, if you go first start Chingling, or go second start Chingling or Jirachi, and get to, you know, really put your energy where you want, not waste any of it, the deck feels fantastic, man. And I really love how easy it is to get the Jirachis out, use Altaria to either swing into something really hard and then pivot back and use Jirachi as like the game-winning card, just sniping 30 on maybe a Mega that ran away. The deck feels great when you are not going first, starting Swablu or Indeedee. that was my only problem. That is really what kept me away from Altaria, is the fact that we don't really have a remedy for that. And I was, again, just like Blaziken, I was looking over the list and I didn't know what I would cut for an X speed, or if 1 X speed even would have been worth it, because, you know, it's not all the time you're going to go first start Swablu. And if you do, it's not guaranteed that you have the X speed in hand. So I just ultimately said, you know what, I'm going to play a deck that has some sort of energy acceleration in it through the Flame Patch, and go with that instead of having to worry about my energy attachments for a game. But again, like, this is the deck with the highest win percentage of the tournament, and I think that is because more people are on like the correct version playing Chinglings, being able to wall off the Blaziken decks, as opposed to like the Absol Darkrai I showed you. That Absol Darkrai, there's no differentiation between Oricorio builds and Chingling builds. So it's probably that the Oricorio builds were tanking Absol's win percentage, but the Chingling builds were doing very, very good. Anything with Chingling this weekend was a great call to get back into countering Blaziken. And I will tell you, it's not an impossible matchup. Not at all. I played against an Altaria in my tournament run, and I would say maybe the only thing my opponent did wrong was going into Altaria a bit too aggressively, not consistently keeping me under that Chingling item lock until they either had or until they had a turn where they could combo Mars plus their Altaria attack, because when they rushed into Altaria, I was just able to rare candy into Blaziken, swing into the Altaria, and then go Cyrus, win against the Altaria. But if that's not happening, if you are able to get your Mega Blaziken up, then your plan is just to like use Heat more on the Mega Altaria, force that. Like, first you want to, I mean, first you're going to force the Swablu to evolve, because the Swablu can only take 2 Heat more attacks. So the Swablu gets forced to evolve, and then you're just doing 30 damage to a Mega Altaria over and over. You only need, this deck doesn't really play heal. It plays Indeedee, but not, you know, not really. So and by playing double Cyrus in that deck as well, you can pretty consistently If they did not start Chingling and they didn't get the item lock on before you got your Mega Blaziken out, or if you find Combuskin in a Mega Blaziken, then you are just able to Cyrus up that Mega Altaria and win the game that way. So, Mega Altaria is still, like, very good into the field. I think it does actually kind of poorly against, what is it called? Suicune? I don't think its time against Suicune is all that great. You know, you do have to fill your bench to attack with Altaria. You're not really one-shotting any Suicunes. They play a lot of capes in their deck. The Indeedee isn't going to heal you out of range. If they have even if they don't have a Greninja up, the Indeedee's not going to do enough healing to keep Altaria from being two-shot. So, but like Absol and everything is not the worst matchup for you. But Blaziken is definitely like what you hope to see for sure. And just item lock them out of ever using their rare candies. And then use Altaria, just steamroll through them before they get a chance to get that Mega Blaziken online. Yeah. Or even just going Jirachi. You can do the same thing. Like Blaziken can use Heat more onto the Mega Altaria. Mega Altaria can use Jirachi onto the Mega Blaziken and force and use a Cyrus that way. It's just kind of like whoever finds their Cyrus first in those type of games. And I did have one of those in the tournament where it was just both of us throwing 30s back and forth, and hey, whoever finds the Cyrus wins, man. Good luck. I found the Cyrus first, as you know I would. Yeah, but I'm still a fan of the deck. Absolutely. I think it was very strongly positioned this weekend, and I think it continually will be with the new rise of Mega Blaziken. So give it a shot. I think that this is a very good build of Mega Altaria right here. What you're looking at, I think this is very, very good. I don't like only having one Jirachi. I don't like some of the decks that don't even play Chingling. That feels crazy to me. And I don't love Sableye. I really don't like the Sableye. If I'm dealing with Oricorio, I'm either going to Jirachi ping around it, if I can't find the Altaria, or some of those Oricorio decks, man, like Mega Absol Oricorio. Just ping the Mega Absol and then Cyrus it with Mega Altaria. There you go. GG's. Yeah, fantastic deck. Enjoy. Very quickly, because I forgot I promised you, I'll show you the other Altaria variants. There was this Altaria Dusknoir that did pretty good. With the double copycat engine, it is like pretty possible to set up to Dusknoir. If you're dealing with Chingling stuff, it won't be the best. I would miss having Jirachi pings and Chingling to play this version. Like, I don't think this is the best version of Altaria by any means, but it is a fun way to play it. So there's that. And then this other one, which is like, it's essentially the same deck, kind of. This is technically Altaria Jirachi because there's no Indeedee. This is like the version that I don't like. This is where Altaria started at the very beginning of the format. This is the one I'm not a fan of. The double red card and the lack of the Indeedee. I just... it's fine. I mean, you do still have the power of Chingling and Jirachi and Altaria and pretty good hand disruption, but I miss having double Cyrus with my Jirachi decks, and the Indeedee just like helps Chingling last a little bit longer in some very specific scenarios. If Chingling's attacking into like a Rocky Helmet Pokemon, Indeedee will let it live forever, which is very, very annoying for Blaziken as well. Yeah, I don't know. It just, from everything I've seen, the version with Indeedee performs better, so I would play the one with Indeedee. Just very quickly for the Suicune believers, whatever, man. It seems that the most popular builds are back on the one Greninja EX. That's how I like it. I like the Greninja ping plus the double Cyrus in the list. I don't know how much I care for the Giratina, to be honest, with this deck now. I feel like Greninja EX is just fine enough of like a end game attacker. But the deck seems to be doing about 50-50 into Blazikens and Altarias. Very good into Absol Darkrai. Very bad into Absol Hydreigon. So that's where Suicune's out right now. It hasn't been... it had a pretty bad win percentage overall for the tournament. Wasn't doing too great. But still, some people may top cut with it because it is Suicune. And if you know how to pilot it very well... I feel like you can pull a lot out with the deck. And it boasting a 50-50 against both Altaria and Blaziken is that's pretty good for it. That's very, very good for it. Because those 50-50s are usually just decided on who's drawing better or who's playing better, who can outplay the other person. So yeah, that's Suicune. So Magnezone had a pretty good time this tournament. It's great into Suicune. And now I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm gonna be honest, because this deck right here apparently has a pretty bad Entei Blaziken match, or sorry, Entei Heatmore matchup. like 40%. In this tournament, 40% overall from all of the other tournaments that have been played. The set I played against Magnezone was probably the closest one I ever had. Maybe that's because I wasn't playing any form of hand disruption in my Blaziken list. But dude, though, not easy games at all. Very, very, very grindy. My opponent played insanely well, and like our game 3 came down to literally just me finding my second Rocky Helmet on the exact turn I needed it. So my opponent was not able to was just that one turn short. I would have knocked out either one of his Oricorios or his Magnezone if any of them attacked. He just wasn't able to attack at any point throughout the rest of the game because of that, and I was able to win. Like, it would, like, the sets were stupid close, man. Stupid close. And maybe the only reason I won that last game is because my opponent started Chingling, which gave me a really easy Heatmore 1 point to gain. Like, the Oricorios are whatever. You know, they're not, like, fun to deal with. But the harder part is the, dude, the Magnezones, man. When you're not playing a form of hand disruption and your opponent is just able to go double Magnezone in a game, like, no problem, it's scary. It's very, very scary. Without Lily, the Magnezone can two-shot you, right? I'm not playing any giant capes or anything. The Magnezone will two-shot me if I do not get my Lily in the mix. You can put a cape on a Magnezone, and unless I have a Rocky Helmet on something, then Blaziken's not getting a return KO. Dude, just a frightening deck. It doesn't have a good time into Hydreigon Absol because they have their own Chinglings, which like slows down Pokeballs and the red card, I guess. But the Hydreigon is just doing a bit more damage. The Hydreigons can get through the Oricorios. It's going to do a lot of damage to the Magnezones. And then you have the Mega Absol as like your end of the game. This is what I'm doing, using the Mega Absol in order to finish off the game for you. But like the Oricorios are not a problem. Hydreigon chews through them. And the Magnezone, like neither of you are two-shotting each other. Unless they don't put a cape on the Magnezone, that deck usually plays double Rocky Helmet or like a Rocky Helmet and a Giovanni. So they are able to reach for the one-shot on Magnezone, while Magnezone is not able to ever reach for the one-shot on the Hydreigon. So, yeah, that's like not a fantastic matchup, but... and then Altaria matchup is actually very good for this deck. It had a 65% win percentage over the course of the tournament. So besides Blaziken, like you're doing very good against every other deck apparently. Again, I don't know how that Blaziken matchup is so bad, because like the double Oricorio is pretty annoying to start. It's kind of hard to deal with the I mean, I guess if you bench the Magnemite and you don't have a Magneton in play, but like why are you benching the Magnemite without a Magneton in your hand already so you can evolve it? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a scary deck for Blaziken, to be honest. I think it should be way closer than a 40% matchup, or my opponent was just drawing very, very well. I'm not sure exactly, but it was scary for me. So, hey, that's Magnezone. Great budget deck. Like, it's just a really hard thing to deal with two Magnezones in one game. 110 damage, 140 HP, sets itself up while dealing with Oricorio pressure. Yeah, scary, scary deck. Real quick, I gotta address the Decidueye believers. Guys, deck was really good for like a couple days. It's time to let it go. When Blaziken was bad, it was a good deck. Now that Blaziken is much, much better, the Suicune matchup for Blaziken is no longer as good. I think it's a negative for Suicune. Less people are playing Suicune, which is a good matchup for Decidueye as well. The meta is just not good for Decidueye right now. It was like the 6th or 7th most played deck. 6, 7, yep, whatever. We gotta keep living, man. we gotta move on. Only one person I think made it into day 2 with Decidueye. So the deck's just it had its time. It was a beautiful moment in time. It's about done with though. It's about done with. Decidueye's cooked. Pack it up, man. Pack it up. We can't be doing it anymore. The new Blaziken build is just too much for it. And the lack of Suicune Suicune's still around, but it's not as crazy. And you still do struggle with Altaria, because a very fast Altaria is super scary for Decidueye. You usually can't set up much more than one Decidueye if you're getting hit for 130 on your second turn if they're able to get going that fast. So yeah, it is unfortunate. I would say pack up Decidueye. I wouldn't play it this week. And I don't know if you see Mega Blaziken fall off a cliff and Suicune's back on the rise, then it's time to bust out the Decidueyes. But right now, man, no, put it back in the binder. This is the last like true meta deck I want to talk about, and then we'll go into some fun stuff very briefly. But Absol Hydreigon. Now this is the best performing list, and I guess I'm torn. I enjoy the Absol Hydreigon list. I think it is very, very consistent with the Chingling and the double copycat in here. I love the double Rocky Helmet. I don't know how much. So for me, when I played it, because I did play it quite a bit, the X speeds were mainly used for me as I'm about to copycat. I'm in my Chingling. I have energy where I need it to be. I'm not going to need this X speed at any other point in the game. I'm just going to play the X speed down so that my copycat is like a little bit better, because I just thinned this card out of my deck. Now, when I played a build without the X speed, the copycats felt a lot worse because I wasn't able to have these two cards in my deck that were just kind of played as soon as I saw them, because they really only have a ton of use on the first turn. So I play these cards, and then I tried out like a Giovanni and a Pokemon Center Lady in the deck just to give myself a little bit more flexibility, and my hand was just getting clogged, man. Like the copycats were not hitting like they used to without the X speed. So like, I don't love the X speeds in here. I don't think I get a ton of value out of them, but when I tried the deck without it, it was just less consistent. And yes, I don't have as many options because of it. But like the way things are going, I mean, you might not need Pokemon Center Lady. Like if you're attacking with Hydreigon into a Blaziken, they probably are going to have a Rocky Helmet on that Blaziken, right? Like it's, they play two copies of them. They're probably going to put that on the Blaziken. So if Hydreigon attacks into a Blaziken, it's going to get knocked out by the Blaziken's attack anyways in return, whether or not you had Pokemon Center Lady to heal that 30. Healing the 30 could help a lot with the Mega Absol in like the Heatmore Blaziken matchup, because then it'll give you one more turn to live. But honestly, in that matchup, you probably just don't want to put the Absol down until you absolutely need to, or until like you're dealing with the Mega Blaziken in the active spot, because yeah, you're just asking to lose via Heatmore for that matchup. And then Giovanni, like it would let you hit the numbers against Suicunes with capes, right? If they attack into your Hydreigon with Suicune, you can go Giovanni, and then you hit for effectively 160 over that turn because of the extra 20 from the Rocky Helmet and the 10 from the Giovanni. So like those would be great supporters to have in here. This is the best performing Absol Hydreigon variant, and like maybe it's just the way to go, man. I mean, if you set up two Hydreigon in a game and you are playing X speed to thin your hand, you're playing Pokeball and you're playing Rocky Helmet, all these cards that you can just kind of slam down, so then your copycat is only hitting good stuff in your deck when you use it. Like that might just be enough, man. And it felt like enough when I played the Absol Hydreigon list. So yeah, like two cards that don't feel fantastic. You don't get a whole lot of utility out of them. But they help the copycat, just they make the deck flow a lot better. They make it flow a lot better. So that's where I'm at with Absol Hydreigon. Very conflicted on it. But I play the double X speed version myself. For the end of the video, I just want to talk briefly about some of these off-meta decks I saw that we have never talked about on this channel, because there were some returning favorites, like a Jolteon did very well, a Guzzlord did very well, Arceus Crobat did very well, but these are some ones that I've not talked about on the channel, or at least in their current form. So take a look at this. Hitmonchan with Fossils. One Hitmonchan, and then we're playing the Aerodactyl and the Rampardos. Hey man, I've played Hitmonchan. It's a very high roll deck. The Aerodactyl will block like some evolutions, kind of like the ability is so it's so whatever. Honestly, it'll stop the active from evolving, which there are times where that will work out very well for you. Most of the time it'll be kind of useless. And then the Rampardos, I mean, this deck just feels like it's a bit high roll. You try to end games very quickly, either through the Hitmonchan just punching something in the face for 50, boom, the game's over, or Rampardos hitting on your second turn, knocking out whatever threat your opponent's trying to build up. and like the Rampardos just takes care of it, and then the game kind of snowballs out of control for your opponent because you knocked out the only thing that matters, or they were building up in the active spot. So, you know, I think him. I mean, I can't say Hitmonchan's like great. I definitely can't. It's not. But this person was able to go on a run with it, which I think is cool. It looks like a very fun deck. I did a video on Hitmonchan, and it was a really fun time playing the deck, so I can recommend it for the fun aspect. So here's another really fun one, Crobat. Someone made Crobat work with the double copycat engine. I played against a poison deck. It wasn't Crobat, it was Hydreigon instead in the tournament. I did lose to it. I could not find my Blazikens. All I needed to do was find Blaziken at like any point I would have won, but you know, it is what it is with Blaziken. The poison stuff is really scary, man. The Nihilegos add up that poison damage very, very fast. And the thing about Crobat was always like why Crobat wasn't great was because it was a very, hey man, if I get Rare Candy Crobat like turn 2, I kind of just win. It's a little bit different now that it's Megas, but it does still stand that a Crobat on your second turn, really, really tough to deal with. The poison stuff can deal with Oricorios even better than like Blaziken's burn can, because you can get up to doing 30 damage between turns with the poison if you have double Nihilego down, and then you just have the Mega Absol as like the finisher, right? The basic 170 HP Pokemon that can close out games for you or rip supporters out of your opponent's hands at good times. The deck seems like pretty okay, to be honest, man. You guys know I'm a big fan of the double copycat stuff. I don't see any like glaring weaknesses besides there's no bench snipe. You are pretty... item lock isn't going to be the best for you, but throwing a poison barb on like a Nihilego in the active spot, if a Chingling attacks into it, man, it's going to get poisoned. If you got double Nihilego down, that Chingling's going to knock itself out. So I don't see, again, I don't see any like big weaknesses. But the damage output definitely is low. Crobat can get up to 100 damage each turn for 1 energy, which is cool. It's good. But for the Crobat to be doing that before your opponent knocked down a Nihilego or did like massive damage to it, and then, you know, they can kind of just knock out Crobat and then knock out a Nihilego for the last point of the game. You can get bench sniped. Heatmores are going to snipe the Zubats, or if you put the Absol down at the wrong time, Heatmores and Jirachis are going to snipe the Absol, and then their only game plan is take out that Absol, I win. So, like, some weaknesses for sure, but overall, nothing's screaming to me that this deck would be absolutely awful. I kind of like it. It looks fun, and I'm excited to try it. That is it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and keep a lookout for my video on my tournament run. I'll go over my matchups and hopefully have some gameplay in there as well for you to see how I did in the largest tournament that happens every week. Subscribe, like the video if I didn't already say that. Subscribe, like the video if I didn't already say that. Subscribe, like the video if I didn't already say that. See you on the next one.